Welcome to the Vedic Mystics channel. We are just days away from a powerful partial solar eclipse on March 29th, 2025, a celestial event that coincides with a major planetary shift. On this day, Saturn moves from Aquarius into Pisces, joining an extraordinary alignment of five other grahas: the Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, and Rahu, which are already positioned in Pisces. With such a rare and intense convergence of planetary energies, let us explore what this means for Ukraine and how these cosmic influences may shape the nation's path forward. I turned to Astrodata Bank, my go to source for accurate birth details, and found Ukraine's birth chart rated AA for reliability. According to the records, Ukraine declared its independence on August 24th, 1991, at 6 p.m. in Kiev, Ukraine. This moment marked the birth of a new nation, and its astrological chart offers fascinating insights into its destiny. Ukraine is the largest country in Europe, excluding Russia, and occupies a significant position in Eastern Europe, sharing borders with Russia, Belarus, Poland, Slovakia, Hungary, Romania, and Moldova. Its history is deeply intertwined with the Slavic world, with cultural and geopolitical ties spanning centuries. The land we now call Ukraine has been inhabited since 32,000 BC, making it one of the oldest continuously settled regions in the world. During the Middle Ages, it became a key center of Slavic expansion and later flourished under Kievan Rus, a powerful East Slavic state that emerged in the 9th century. By the 10th and 11th century, Kievan Rus stood as the largest and most dominant force in Europe, shaping the region's culture, governance, and spirituality. However, internal divisions weakened its power, and by the 13th century, Mongol invasions shattered the once mighty kingdom. Ukraine was absorbed into the Russian Empire in the late 19th century, a period that cemented Russia's influence over its political and cultural landscape. With the fall of the Soviet Union in 1991, Ukraine finally broke free, reclaiming its sovereignty. The birth chart of this independence movement captures the cosmic forces shaping the country's identity and future. Astrologically, Ukraine was born under a Capricorn ascendant with Saturn and Moon positioned in Capricorn, a powerful combination symbolizing endurance, discipline, and resilience. Ketu in Gemini and Rahu in Sagittarius suggest a karmic journey filled with ideological struggles and lessons in adaptability. Mars in Virgo brings a sharp strategic mindset, while an intense planetary cluster with Sun, Jupiter, Mercury, and Venus all residing in the eighth house in fiery Leo points to themes of transformation, power struggles, and hidden strengths. Adding another intriguing layer, the moon is placed in Dhanishta Nakshatra, bestowing a rhythm of perseverance and ambition to Ukraine's cosmic blueprint. Looking at the strengths of the visible grahas in Ukraine's birth chart, we see that Sun, Moon, Mars, Saturn, and Venus hold strong positions in either the D1 or the D9 chart. These planets provide resilience and stability to the nation. The sun is well placed in its Mula Trikona house, giving it strength. The moon is nearly full, adding emotional stability. Mars, the Yogakaraka for a Capricorn ascendant, sits in a favorable ninth house position in the D1 chart and gains even more power by being exalted in the D9 chart. Saturn has double primary strength by being retrograde and in its own house. Finally, Venus is also retrograde and gains additional strength by being in its own house in the D9 chart. However, Jupiter and Mercury face difficulties. Jupiter is combust and caught in a planetary war with Mercury, reducing its positive influence. Mercury is also combust, but its retrograde motion and its participation in many yogas lift it up. It is clear that Saturn is the strongest planet in Ukraine's chart. As the Lagnesh, the ascendant lord, it sits in the Lagna with added strength from its retrograde motion. Saturn also forms the powerful Sasha Mahapurusha Yoga, one of the Pancha Mahapurusha Yogas, bestowing authority, discipline, and resilience. Furthermore, its placement in the Pushkara Navamsha enhances its positive influence, reinforcing its ability to bring stability and endurance to the nation. On the other hand, Jupiter is the weakest planet in the chart. It rules the third and the 12th houses and is placed in the 8th house, a position that traditionally brings challenges. Additionally, Jupiter is combust and engaged in a planetary war with Mercury, further diminishing its strength and positive effects. According to Vedic astrology, this suggests that the periods ruled by Saturn could bring stability and progress to the country, while periods ruled by Jupiter may be marked by struggles and hardships. Understanding these planetary influences can offer deeper insights into Ukraine's future. Let's now dive into the Dasha sequence for Ukraine using the Vimshottari system. In the next slides, we'll take a closer look at each period and what it means for Ukraine's future. Ukraine began its Mars Mahadasha from the moment of independence and continued through July 1995. The Rahu Mahadasha followed, spanning 18 years from August 1995 to July 2013. Now we are in the Jupiter Mahadasha, which began in August 2013 and will continue until July 2029. We have already identified Jupiter as the weakest planet in Ukraine's chart. After the Jupiter Mahadasha, Ukraine enters a much more favorable period with the Saturn Mahadasha. This 19-year period starts in August 2029 and runs through 2048. Given that Saturn is the strongest planet in Ukraine's chart, this upcoming phase is likely to be great, bringing stability, discipline, and long term growth. Looking specifically at the subperiods that remain in the Jupiter Mahadasha, we are currently in the Jupiter Moon subperiod running from November 2024 to March 2026. The next subperiod is that of Jupiter Mars, which runs from March 2026 to March 2027. And the last subperiod is that of Jupiter Rahu from March 2027 to July 2029. Mars, the Yogakaraka planet for a Capricorn ascendant, is placed in the ninth house, which governs luck, purpose, and higher learning. During the Mars Mahadasha, Ukraine gained independence with strong support from its citizens, reflecting Mars's qualities of courage and determination. However, as a new nation, Ukraine faced significant economic challenges, making the results of this period mixed. Despite this, Mars's influence can still be seen as positive, especially considering that it helped Ukraine break free from over 100 years of Russian rule. While there were struggles, Mars played a crucial role in the country's liberation and the beginning of a new chapter. The next period for Ukraine was the Rahu Mahadasha, which lasted for 18 years, from 1995 to 2013. In Ukraine's chart, Rahu is influenced by Jupiter, its sign lord, Venus, its nakshatra lord, and Mars through its aspect on Rahu. This combination of Venus and Mars creates some powerful Raja Yogas, as they are the lords of the fourth and fifth houses of the chart. Additionally, Rahu is well placed in both the D10 and D11 charts, which represent government and economic growth, suggesting that this period had strong potential for development in both areas. Overall, the Rahu Mahadasha was a positive period for Ukraine. During this time, Ukraine adopted its constitution in 1996, a significant step in solidifying its independence. The country also experienced its highest economic growth between 2000 and 2004, benefiting from a period of relative stability and reform. The Orange Revolution in 2004 and 2005 marked another pivotal moment as citizens rallied for fair elections and a democratic process. After intense protests, international pressure, and the backing of civil society, the Ukrainian Supreme Court annulled the results of the original election, calling for a new vote. In the rerun election, Yushchenko emerged victorious, signaling a shift towards European integration and a stronger desire for independence. The subperiods of Rahu Saturn and Rahu Mercury from 2000 to 2005 were particularly beneficial within the Rahu Mahadasha. While Mercury was combust and in a planetary war, it still participated in one of the most important Raja Yoga, the combination of the ninth and 10th house lords, Mercury and Venus. Although the yoga's placement in the eighth house of challenges and Mercury's weakness were not ideal, the effects of the yoga still manifested, bringing some positive results despite the obstacles. That brings us to the current period, that of the Jupiter Mahadasha, which began in August 2013. As mentioned earlier, Jupiter is the weakest planet in Ukraine's chart, and its influence has been less favorable. It activates several challenging houses, including the 6th, 8th, 12th, and even the 3rd house, which, while milder, still carries some negative influence. Jupiter also does not participate in many strong yogas, further adding to the difficulty of this period. Without significant compensatory factors, it is clear that this period has presented substantial challenges for Ukraine. Indeed, this has been a tough phase for the country. Russia annexed Crimea in 2014, setting off a series of geopolitical crises. In 2020, the world was hit by the COVID 19 pandemic, further destabilizing the country. And in 2022, the full scale war with Russia began, bringing even more hardship. To put it simply, the period under Jupiter has been marked by significant adversity, underscoring the difficulty of this Mahadasha for Ukraine. Before looking ahead, it's crucial to recognize the significant role of Saturn as a strong and powerful Lagnesh in Ukraine's chart. Saturn's strength has been a key pillar of resilience, enabling Ukraine to endure and navigate numerous challenges. Its influence provides the endurance and determination needed to overcome difficult periods. A lesser known but insightful astrological principle is that the subperiods of the ascendant lord often correspond to defining moments in a person or nation's life. This is especially true in Ukraine's case, where Saturn's subperiods have marked turning points. The Saturn subperiod under Mars was the beginning of this chart when Ukraine gained independence in 1991. The Saturn subperiod under Rahu, the country experienced its best phase of economic growth, laying the foundation for progress. And in the Saturn subperiod under the Jupiter Mahadasha, Ukraine focused on economic stabilization, energy independence from Russia, and strengthening its ties with the EU. These Saturn subperiods highlight its pivotal role in Ukraine's journey. As a powerful Lagnesh, Saturn continues to shape the nation's destiny, reinforcing its ability to withstand hardship and move towards a more stable and prosperous future. Finally, let's look ahead to Ukraine's future. While the 19-year Saturn Mahadasha from 2029 to 2048 is said to be the country's strongest and most prosperous period, it is still over 4 years away. In the meantime, there are key improvements on the horizon. The first major relief comes with Saturn's transit on March 29, 2025, which will ease the most difficult phase of its influence on Ukraine's natal moon. The moon in Ukraine's chart sits at 29 degrees of Capricorn. If we only consider the sign, Saturn's transit marks the official end of Sade Sati, the challenging 7.5 year cycle. However, factoring in the degree placement, it is more like the conclusion of the first 5 years of Sade Sati, meaning the most difficult part is already behind. Regardless, this transit signals much needed relief. The next turning point arrives in March 2026 with the start of the Mars subperiod within the ongoing Jupiter Mahadasha. Mars previously played a key role in Ukraine's independence, and this subperiod could bring a similar pattern, significant progress followed by efforts to rebuild and strengthen the nation. Following this, from March 2027 to July 2029, Ukraine enters the Rahu subperiod, which is expected to bring steady growth as the country continues to stabilize. By July 2029, Ukraine will finally exit the difficult Jupiter Mahadasha, marking the start of the Saturn Mahadasha, a 19-year period of resilience, stability, and progress. After enduring years of hardship, Ukraine will enter a transformative phase, setting the stage for a stronger and more prosperous future. The outlook is clear. Relief is near, growth is coming, and long term strength awaits. For individuals, this is the end of the analysis. However, when we look at Ukraine's long history, spanning thousands of years, it becomes evident that while the country's chart is that of a young 34-year-old, the nation itself is far older. People have inhabited the region since 32,000 BC, and the land's history is rich with cultural, political, and social events. The Vimshottari Dasha system operates on a 120-year cycle, meaning the same sequence of dashas will repeat every 120 years. If we look back 120 years from 2025, we land in 1905, and the best period predicted for Ukraine from 2029 to 2048 would correspond closely to the period from 1909 to 1928. Looking at Ukrainian history during that time, 1905 was a significant year, marking the first Russian Revolution. This period signified the beginning of serious resistance to Russian imperial rule in Ukraine. Ukraine briefly enjoyed independence from 1917 to 1921, and the 1920s were a time of cultural renaissance in Ukraine. This period, therefore, would have been under the Saturn Mahadasha, just like the period from 2029 to 2048. For those with a deeper understanding of Ukrainian history, these connections offer a fascinating parallel. The Saturn Mahadasha of 120 years ago saw Ukraine undergoing significant cultural and political shifts, just as the upcoming Saturn period promises a time of growth, stability, and prosperity for the nation. These historical reflections offer a hopeful outlook for the future of Ukraine. In conclusion, the future holds promising improvements for Ukraine beginning as early as next week. I foresee a positive shift with the end of the ongoing war within a year. The enduring and hardworking nature of Saturn will help Ukrainians rebuild their nation, laying the foundation for a golden age starting in 2029. May peace soon return to Ukraine, and may the country prosper in the years to come. Om Shanti.